There is a box in the cupboard tonight with a picture of curry on the front, and inside it a brown brick wrapped in foil, hard as a bar of soap. Nearly every kitchen in this country has one. You break off the squares and drop them in the pot, and the pot goes thick and brown, and everyone says how good it is, and nobody has ever asked what that brick is or how it came to be a brick. I will tell you what it is. It is flour and fat and a spoonful of spice pressed into a block and sold back to you. That is all it is. There is nothing in that brick that was not already in your kitchen. Tonight I will show you how to make it yourself in 4 minutes, and how to make the whole curry in a rice cooker, that machine already on your counter, and I am going to feed 10 people with it for the price of a sandwich. This is the curry of the hard years, not the curry of the shops, the one built when there was nothing, and that is exactly why it still feeds a crowd on nothing today. A thing built for lean times does not forget its trade. Now, here is what this dish truly is at the bottom of it, and once you see it plain, you will understand every choice I make tonight. Curry is a way to make a great deal of vegetables taste like meat. That is the whole invention. The potato and the onion and the carrot are the food. They are heavy and they fill a stomach and cost almost nothing, but nobody wants a bowl of boiled potato. So you take the smallest scrap of meat and cook it until its fat and savor have gone out into the pot, and thicken the whole thing with browned flour so the gravy clings to every piece, and now every bite of potato tastes of meat. And the children never once notice there were 200 grams of pork among 10 of them. 1 small pack of meat, 4 potatoes, 4 onions, 2 carrots, a spoon of flour, a spoon of fat, a spoon of curry powder, 10 bowls, and everyone stands up full. That is the old arithmetic, and no company invented it. Hunger did. And I have said before that a deep fryer is only a pot with a cord on it. Well, a rice cooker is also only a pot with a cord on it, but this one has earned its place, for it will do 2 jobs and not 1, and tonight I will show you the second. There is nothing hard in any of it. Let me show you, step by step. We had curry perhaps once a month when I was small, and I remember it as a kind of holiday. My mother kept a tin of curry powder on a high shelf, and it was the most precious thing in that kitchen, more precious than sugar, and she used a scant spoonful at a time and put it straight back up. There was no brick in a box then. There was no box. There was flour and whatever fat we had, and she browned them together and made her own thickening, because that was simply what a person did. She would not have understood the question if you had asked why she did not buy it. And I remember the meat, a piece the size of my hand for the whole family, cut into bits the size of a fingernail. She cut it small on purpose, and I understood why only many years later. She cut it small so every single bowl would have some in it. That was not a cooking decision. That was a mother counting her children and making sure nobody got a bowl with none in it and had to sit there and notice. That is what I have carried. The cleverness of a poor kitchen was never really about food. It was about dignity. It was about making sure no one at your table ever had to feel the lack. And a woman who can do that with 200 grams of pork is doing something far larger than cooking. Before I go further, I want to say one quick thing. The old ways my family kept, there is more of it than fits in any one video. I have gathered the whole of it into a book, and you will find it at the link below. The book is the long version. If you want it, it is there. I will not mention it again. We begin with the meat, and the first rule is the opposite of what you would guess. You want a little of the cheap fatty kind, not much of the good kind. 200 grams, that is all, for 10 people. Take the thin sliced belly, or the shoulder, or the offcuts the butcher sells for stir-frying, the marbled kind, and take the cheapest. Why fatty? Because the fat leaves the meat and goes into the pot, and it is the fat that carries flavor into every potato and every spoonful of gravy. A lean, good cut keeps its goodness locked inside itself and gives the pot nothing. A cheap, fatty scrap gives everything away. You are not buying meat to eat here. You are buying meat to flavor the pot with. It is a seasoning that happens to be meat. And cut it small, small as your fingernail, not chunks. My mother's reason is still the right one. Small pieces spread through 10 bowls, and big pieces do not, and no bowl at my table goes out with nothing in it. Now here is the fork in the road, and folks here will argue it until the sun comes up. Pork or beef? In the East they will tell you curry is beef, and always has been, and anything else is a compromise. In the West they will tell you it was always pork, and that beef is a stranger's idea. Both are entirely certain, and both learned it at their own mother's table, and that is exactly why neither will ever give it up. I will not settle it for you. Pork is cheaper and sweeter and it melts. Beef is deeper and richer and costs more. Both are honest, both are old, neither is wrong. And if you have neither, then chicken, or nothing but a spoon of good fat in the vegetables, and I have eaten that curry too, and been glad of it. Now the onions, and here is where the flavor of this dish is actually made. Not the meat, not the spice. The onion. Take 4. More than seems sensible. Slice them thin, into a pan with a bit of oil over a medium heat, and cook them a long while. Not 3 minutes. 15 or 20, stirring now and then until they collapse and slump and turn a proper golden amber, sweet and jammy and smelling wonderful. Why so long? Because a raw onion is sharp and watery, and a long-cooked onion turns to sugar and to body, and that sweetness underneath is what makes a poor curry taste rich. This is the single step separating a thin, watery curry from one that tastes like money was spent on it. Everything else here is cheap. The onion is where you spend time instead. 15 minutes of patience with an onion is worth more than any expensive thing you could put in that pot. Do not rush it. It is the only real work in the whole video. Now the vegetables. 4 potatoes, peeled, cut into good big chunks, 2 fingers across. 2 carrots in rough chunks, and no need to peel a carrot you have scrubbed, for the skin holds goodness and it is thrift not to waste it. Why big? Because in a long, gentle cook, small pieces dissolve and are lost, where big ones go soft and tender and still hold together, coming out whole and handsome in the bowl. Big pieces are not laziness. They are the right size for a long cook. Now, the roux. This is the brick. This is the 4 minutes that the whole box industry is built on you not knowing about. You take a pan and a good spoonful of fat, butter or oil or the fat that came out of your meat, and warm it. In goes an equal spoonful or 2 of plain wheat flour, and you stir it into a paste and keep it over a low heat and stir it, and you do not walk away. And as you stir it changes. First it is pale and pasty and smells raw. Then it goes blonde and smells of biscuits. Then the color of peanut butter, and then a proper brown smelling nutty and toasted and wonderful. And here is why you must not stop early. A pale roux thickens, but it tastes of raw flour and makes a curry thick and dull and floury. A browned roux thickens a little less, but it tastes deep and nutty and roasted, and that toasted flavor is a great deal of what you think of as the taste of curry. Pale roux, thick and dull. Browned roux, deep and rich. That is the whole difference, and it costs nothing. Low heat and stir the whole time. A scorched roux goes bitter, and there is no saving it. You start again, low and slow, and never leave it. Now off the heat, and in goes your curry powder, a good spoonful or 2, stirred into that hot roux half a minute. And here is why now, in the fat, and not later in the water. Spice is no friend of water. Spice opens up in fat. Warm it in that roux, and the whole kitchen will tell you it worked, and the flavor is twice what it would have been stirred into broth. A pinch of salt, a little pepper, and there is your brick. That is the thing in the foil. Flour, fat, and a spoon of spice made in 4 minutes out of what you already had. Now the rice cooker, and this is the part folks do not believe until they try it. Into the pot go your amber onions, your bits of meat, your potatoes and carrots. Water to come up, not quite over them, and be sparing, for the vegetables give up their own water as they cook, and a curry drowned at the start is one you cannot fix at the end. Less water than you think. You can loosen it later. Then the lid on. Set it as you would set rice, and walk away. And why does it work? Because a rice cooker is a heavy pot with a tight lid holding a low, steady heat that will not boil dry or scorch. And a low, steady heat under a tight lid is precisely what a braise wants. It is what a slow oven does. It is what the back of the old stove did. That machine could do the work of a slow oven this whole time, and has only ever been asked to boil rice. So it works away, the onions melting further, the meat giving up its fat, the potatoes going soft and drinking it all in, and you are not standing there. You are doing something else, which is the whole point, and it is the same reason my mother put her pot on before we left the house. When it clicks off and the vegetables are tender to a fork, open it up, and now the roux goes in. And here is the one small thing between a smooth curry and a lumpy one. Do not drop the roux into the hot pot and stir. It seizes into lumps, and you will chase them round the pot forever. Instead, take a ladle of the hot liquid out of the cooker and stir it into the roux in the pan first, a little at a time, until it is a smooth, loose paste with no lumps at all. Then pour that back in and stir it through. It thickens smooth and glossy every time, a little at a time. Stop when it is a gravy that coats a spoon and slides off slowly. You want it to cling, not to set. Too far, a splash of water. Too thin, back on the heat, and it tightens. Now taste it, and be generous with the salt, for a big pot of vegetables takes far more salt than you think, and a bland pot is a wasted pot. A spoonful of soy for depth, a little sugar or a spoon of grated apple if your family likes it sweet, and many do. A dab of butter for gloss, and you ladle it over hot rice, and you feed 10 people. Now, the leftovers, and here is a thing true of almost nothing else in a kitchen. This curry is better tomorrow, not merely acceptable, better. Overnight, the roux and the spice and the onions settle into each other, and the sharp edges go, and what was good is now deep and round and married. Every family in this country knows it. The second day is the day, and I will be honest about the one thing that goes wrong. The potatoes fall apart. A potato handsome and whole last night is a soft ghost tomorrow, half dissolved into the gravy. It still tastes fine. But if you mean to eat this all week, some families fish the potatoes out before the pot goes away and add them fresh later. That is a small piece of old knowing that took someone years to learn and takes you 10 seconds to receive. And the pot feeds you more than twice. Thin what is left with a little dashi and pour it over udon, and you have curry udon, a supper of its own that many prefer to the curry. Spoon it over rice in a dish, lay cheese on top, brown it, wrap the thick last of it in dough and fry it. And the very last scrape of the pot, the bit that will not come off the sides, loosen it with a splash of hot water and pour it over rice and eat it standing at the counter and tell nobody, for that is the best bowl of the lot and it belongs to the cook. Nothing is a byproduct. The leavings of one good thing are only the makings of the next. Now I want to be plain about who profits from you believing curry comes in a box. There is an enormous business in that brown brick. Read the side of it sometime. Palm oil mostly, and flour, and a great deal of salt, and a little spice, and things you cannot say out loud. Then the pouch, the ready curry in the silver bag, warmed in water and poured out, and the chain shops with their trays. Every one of them stands on a single notion that curry is a difficult technical thing, a chemistry, and that the brick is the only way an ordinary person gets to it. But you have just watched it. Flour and fat in a pan, 4 minutes. A spoon of powder warmed in the fat. There was never any secret in that foil. Nobody schemed to make a whole country forget that a curry roux is only brown flour. It is worse than that. It is just a system nobody has to coordinate. A slow drift, where the brick got cheap and the kitchens got busy, and the making of a roux went unpracticed and unpassed down, until a thing my mother did in a pan without thinking, talking to us over her shoulder, came to seem like a factory's work. It was never a factory's work. It was 4 minutes and a wooden spoon. The women who fed this country through the lean years did it with a tin of yellow powder on a high shelf and a scrap of pork, the size of a hand, and they fed 10, and nobody at that table ever knew they were poor. We are only beginning to remember how. Now tell me something down in the comments. Pork curry or beef curry, and where are your people from? Folks are fierce about this, and I would dearly love to know where you stand. And tell me this too, for I've wanted to ask it for years. Do you mix the whole plate together into one, or keep the rice on its side and the curry on its side and eat carefully from where they meet so the last of the rice is still white? There are 2 kinds of people in this world, and I would like to know which you are. Tell me. Next time, I will show you what the old kitchens did with the bowl of leftover potato in the cold box, the one everybody forgets until they scrape it into the bin. Mashed with a bit of onion, rolled in crumbs, fried golden and crisp, so that yesterday's forgotten leftover comes to the table as the thing the children fight over. It costs nothing, it wastes nothing, and it is one of the finest things a poor kitchen ever invented. Next time, the croquette. Until then, take good care of the ones at your table, and keep a kitchen that knows there was never a thing in that brick you did not already own.